Hi everyone, this is Liam from Ficheall, and today I want to show you a puzzle. It's called Rook Race to the Corner, and it is a two-person game or a paired game, but it is slightly unusual in that both players will use the same piece. This rook here, this rook in the corner of h8, both players will take turns to move that rook. The goal of the game is to be the first person to move the rook to this square A1. Okay. There are some rules to the game as well, in that both players can only move the rook down or across. So it is only possible to go closer to A in terms of letters and closer to 1 in terms of numbers. So in this, as we look at it here, it's only possible to move the rook down and to the left. It is not possible to move the rook back to the right. So if you have a partner, you might use chess toss to decide who is player 1 and who is player 2. Player 1 will go first and player 2 will move second. So set up your board like this, and the first person to move it to A1 is the winner. Best of luck. So a quick demonstration of how this might work is if player 1 was to move their rook all the way to h1. This would not be a good move, because then player 2 can move the rook all the way across to a1, meaning that they are the winner. Player 2 wins in this situation. So maybe player 1 won't do that next time. Let's reset the board a second now and let's try again. Player 1 this time, maybe he doesn't move it all the way to h2 or to h1, he moves it to h2 instead. Then if player 2 moves the rook all the way across to this square a2, then player 1 will have the advantage, because player 1 now will be able to move it straight on to a1 and they are the winner. Okay, now we're learning how the puzzle works. Let's try it one more time. So player 1 might think, okay, I'm going to move it to h2 because I think that won for me the last time. But this time player 2 is getting a bit more wary, and he's thinking, I won't move it all the way across to a2, I'll move it to b2, which is this position. And now player 1 is forced to either move it to this square or this square, which means that player 2 will be able to move it to a1 straight after that. So if player 1 moves it to b1, player 2 moves it to a1 and they are the winner. So once you've given it a go, decide for yourself whether it's better to be player 1 or to be player 2, or does it make any difference? Okay, so the solution to this problem is that it is always better to be player 2 if the player 2 plays with perfect strategy. So perfect strategy is to always move the rook onto this diagonal. This is the a1 h8 diagonal. So by constantly moving to this diagonal, it will always win. Let's see what that looks like. Player 1 might move to h7, and now player 2 can only move left or down. He's going to choose to move it to this, onto the diagonal. So that's player 2. Player 1 again moves maybe down slightly. Player 2 moves it back to the diagonal. Maybe player 1 this time decides to mix it up and moves it across to e6. Again, player 2 is going to move it back to the diagonal. And by constantly moving it back to the diagonal, they will definitely end up being the last person to move it to a1. So that's player 2 winning with perfect strategy. Thanks for watching. Maybe try to puzzle out with someone who hasn't seen the solution yet. Best of luck.